honestly,
amazing.
the energy, the presence, my word, unbelievable.
There'll never be another, that's for sure.
Oh, wow. Sam Rubin joins us live from LA now with all the latest. Hiya, Sam.
Morning,
What's
Sam.
sad news this morning?
Very sad news. Craig and Alison, good morning to you both. And Craig, you had the exact right word. It was the energy, this incomparable energy that propelled Tina Turner for 6 decades. And as you showed that tape, you showed tape from the 60s to when she retired in 2009. The resurrection after the separation with Ike Turner in 1984. Mark Knopfler wrote that song, Private Dancer, that album, with What's Love Got to Do with It, and then the hit after hit after hit. The concert you showed in Rio, 180,000 people. That was the largest crowd any entertainer had ever performed for. Tina Turner, oh my gosh, all day, all night, the tributes pouring in. Beyonce with these words, which I think are so compelling, I love you, my queen. And she goes on to say, to thank Tina for essentially opening the doors for her and so many. I love you endlessly. I'm so grateful for your inspiration and all the ways you've paved the way. You're the strength, the resilience, the epitome of power and passion. Thank you for all you've done. Her words echoed by basically everyone else in entertainment, Elton John, Mick Jagger, people who've shared the stage with Tina Turner. And if you've been lucky, and I have been, and have seen Tina Turner perform live, those are indelible performances that you never, ever forget. And then, of course, the musical, the West End musical, premiering in 2018, reintroduces Tina Turner to a generation that may not be familiar. This, the best. Bonnie Tyler recorded it first, but Tina had the hit. This musical is great. Funnily enough, it will be in Los Angeles next month. You know, I think we're sad about this. It's very sad news, 83 years of age, but we're celebrating Tina Turner as well, and with good reason. No one like her, no one will be like her. It's just extraordinary. And I think, as you said, Craig, it's that energy, which is absolutely contagious. You could not sit in your seat if you were watching a Tina Turner concert.
Sam, what a lovely eulogy. Thank you so much for joining us today with that. Incredible woman. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sam.
Yeah, incredible lady, incredible life story, sad life story, incredibly successful, everything. Her life had everything.
From tragedy to triumph, wasn't it? Born almost penniless, having to work in the fields as a schoolgirl. Her mother deserted her. They never really did get back together until her mother died. She lost her 2 sons prior to her own death. And yet, the incredible triumph and a triumph over the abusive husband. It is the story that has everything. Matthew and I have been in the game long enough. The word legend is often overused. It's wholly appropriate this morning.
And it's really interesting how, in her re-emergence as a superstar in her own right after splitting from Ike, in actual fact, in the 70s, she was pretty much viewed as a sort of failure, divorcee, unwanted by a male-dominated record business. So not only hideously abused by her ex, but then essentially abused by the record industry, and then to come back from that and become so big. I mean, that's really the bit that does it for me. That's true superstar.
She was an icon, absolutely amazing. Can we finish? Oh, I was a huge fan. My mum used to play Tina Turner all the time in the house. I used to have a friend who used to go into pubs and sing it, but every time she sang Simply the Best, she used to, like, really elongate the end, so you'd hear her say, "You're simply the best." And after every line, she used to go, "ah," at the end. But I just want to finish off on Oprah's words. She was a close friend to Tina. She was reflecting on everything, and she said, "She is our forever goddess of rock and roll who contained a magnitude of inner strength that grew throughout her life. She was a role model not only for me, but for the world. She encouraged a part of me I didn't know existed." Everyone's come out for tributes. Elton John, Bryan Adams, Mick Jagger. It just proves what sort of woman this was.
Well, she was a tutor, wasn't she, to Mick Jagger? So her work lives on, really, in a lot of what you still see. And sadly, David Bowie as well. But they pay so much credit for their own careers and what they've achieved. So you still see some of her work with Sir Mick, so we can take comfort there.
Her music lives on, thankfully.
It
does. Rest in peace.
Particularly with this one beside me, singing away. You can sing, by the way.
Yes, you can.
Thanks, babe.
Yeah, I knew, she says, I knew. We had the Prime Minister in this morning.
I noticed.
Did you?
Yeah.
It was all very low-key. We were kind of caught in the middle of it. We really enjoyed him, actually. We enjoyed talking to him.
He's very good at answering questions. He's really good.
Yeah, I'd like to say, first of all, I thought, well done, because it's never easy interviewing a Prime Minister. They're very good, normally, at being evasive and avoiding questions. And I thought that with him coming on initially with I suppose the headline news story is that immigration figures have gone up again, he spent most of the interview reassuring us that immigration was going to go down, despite having been part of a government that's been in power for 13 years. And then, well done, Craig, because I thought you asked the killer question, which is all very well talking about bringing immigration down, but what are you going to do about all the care home jobs that are going, the NHS jobs, truck drivers? And that was the only time I thought he sort of lost his sort of...
Well done.
He just looked around the room, he looked a little lost at that point.
They're all an incredibly important part of this country and the service industry in this country, the care industry in this country. Alison, you're talking about hospitals. You know, we talk about immigration in a negative sense all the time. We forget about the positivity.
It was quite right that this dominated your conversation because it is dominating a lot of the backdrop to a general election. We all know it will be sometime within the next 18 months. I think Matthew's absolutely right. This government has not done particularly well in this sphere. They have promised so many... It is, by the way, a very difficult problem to resolve. But when you quite rightly make the point about the jobs that need filling, and I remind you, I think it was earlier this week or last week that the Home Secretary said we should all go and train as fruit pickers. This, to me, shows that they're slightly tone deaf in this area when there are jobs that need to be filled that you were talking about, and they think we should be picking cherries and digging potatoes. I don't think it quite works.
Do you think he'll make another season as Prime Minister?
Do I think he'll win the next general election?
Yeah.
If you look at the polls, definitely not. There's something called boundary changes. I won't bore you too much, which means I don't think it's the slam dunk that a lot of people think for Labour. But if you ask me now, I would have thought you'd be looking at Sir Keir as the next Prime Minister, but possibly with a helping hand from somewhere.
I mean, I saw Sir Keir's statement about the NHS as well and about funding his major plans, but it still comes down to the same thing, and we go back to this all the time. I'm not going to dwell on it, but there's only a certain amount of money in the pot.
Yes.
And the Prime Minister said he's kind of trying to divvy it up and keep some people happy here, but it upsets someone else over here. Same problem for Labour, right?
Yes,
It's always going to be the same problem.
But there's a backdrop against, I suppose, that if you want to fund public services, you need taxes. He spoke a bit about pay and essentially average people's pay and how it's 6% or something like that it's been going up. He doesn't mention FTSE 100 chief executives and how their pay has gone up January to January 39%. So he seems to be thinking it's all right for the very top to cream it in. Absolutely cream it in, and maybe buy Aston Martins we're going to talk about a little later. But for most people, he's giving them, or they are getting pay rises that won't even get halfway to matching the food inflation they face. So it's just a complete disconnect. It's all very well saying, oh, you tax the rich, they'll run away. But you've just got to make it a bit, he said, fairer. Well, 6% versus 39% is clearly massively unfair.
Yeah, fair point.
I wish you was there.
Well,
I know.
I'm glad, to be honest, I'm really glad I wasn't.
Yeah.
I died when you said, do you cry watching DIY SOS like everybody else?
Who doesn't?
That's so funny.
Do you, Nick?
I cry if I hit my thumb with a hammer doing DIY, but I can get through half an hour somehow. God knows it's tough, but I get through.
Do you watch Gladiators? Do you remember when it was originally on?
Yeah.
Well, you know it's coming back to the BBC later this year. Well, apparently the skimpy female outfits from the original series, well, they're ditching them. They're getting rid of those, and they're going to be giving them more of a leotard effect. The racy crop tops and pants worn by the female stars in 1992 series have been replaced by athletes' leotards. I actually think that's a good idea because you're constantly having to pull them down, aren't you? And you're not feeling comfortable. Tell me more.
You might be surprised. I don't know, but I'll take your word for it.
Let me tell you what Suzanne Cox said, who is known as Vogue on the ITV series. She had to use bum glue to stop her outfit from moving out of place. So she had to literally stick it down in order for it to stay in place.
Let's listen to the contestants. If that's what they want.
That's the right thing to say.
If they want to dress in the skimpy outfit, let them. If they want more concealing outfits, I just say let the girls
completely agree. Because there's influence in some of the stories that they're sort of watching what's happening in athletics and sport, and therefore women are covering up. But actually, if you look at 100-metre and 200-metre sprints, I don't think that would stand the go.
So what would you both prefer, the leotard or the other stuff?
I want the girls to be happy.
Honestly, I want them to use real.
You want the girls to be happy.
That's what I want.
If they think they can compete, whatever suits them, let them have it. That's what I would say.
I'm going to give you the choice, right?
So
do you want to go Aston Martin or do you want to go biscuit feuds?
We've only got 20
decide.
seconds.
20 seconds.
Biscuits.
Biscuits. Go biscuits. People are fighting over biscuits.
What was it? An alarming number of couple fight about biscuits. All I can say, if you're ranting about biscuits, split up now. There is no point continuing this relationship. Crumbs in a bed. You've left the biscuits go stale. You shouldn't put the biscuits in the fridge. These are not reasonable grounds for arguments.
Loads of ginger nuts. Just a load of ginger nuts, if you ask me. I'll take the Aston Martin.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you, guys.
Thanks so much.
Well
really
done
good.
today.
Well done again.
Great to see you in person.
Yes, I think first time ever.
Lovely to see you. Good stuff. Still